Hi ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to show you a little demonstration on how photosynthesis works. This might take us a couple of days, but we'll at least get it set up and started today. In my aquarium I have an aquatic plant called elodea, and elodea has leaves that are 2 cell layers thick. So it's an ideal plant for us to look at under the microscope to look at cell organelles, which we'll be doing next week. And it's also ideal for looking at gas exchange because we can see the gases leave this plant. So I'm going to bring you a little closer to show you how I'm going to set up this demo. You can see that I've left a couple of pieces of elodea out. And just to show you their sizes, they're about the same size. And that's going to be important for our lab and how we're going to set it up. I have a couple of test tubes in here that I've let soak in the water so that I have all the air bubbles out of them. And all I'm going to do is put this elodea into the test tube. I'm going to use a beaker to trap the water in this test tube. And now I want you to notice that there is no air bubble whatsoever in the top of this beaker or in this test tube. Now I'm just going to sit this one over here in the sun. I'm going to put my other elodea plant in the other test tube. I'm going to put it in the beaker and trap the water in the test tube. And you can see again, I have no air bubble in the top of this test tube. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to put a box over top of it. And make sure that I keep it in the dark. So now we have 2 plants trapped in these test tubes, and there's only water in the test tubes and the plant. In a few minutes, we're going to look back at this and see if we have any gases leaving these plants. I want you to think about which one is going to produce the most bubbles and what those bubbles might be, considering that we are looking at photosynthesis. This is the elodea that we put in the sunlight, and if we look closely, you can see that the leaves are making little bubbles, and you can once in a while see some of those bubbles floating to the top of our water column. And our plant in the dark is not doing this. There went one. It's been about 24 hours since I set up my elodea experiment, with one of my plants being in the light and the other one being in the dark. So we're going to check to see how photosynthesis has taken place in both of these different containers. So if we look at the elodea in the light, then you can see an air bubble here in the top, and we looked at this already a little bit and how it was forming. And if we look at the elodea that has been in the dark, there is no air bubble there. So photosynthesis is not taking place in this elodea that's in the box because there's no sunlight. So what do we think this air bubble might be? Hopefully you are thinking oxygen, because oxygen is a byproduct of photosynthesis. Pretty neat.